Hi, it's another day and it's another episode of the AFCON Daily Show on Citi TV. My name is Nathan Kwao. Many thanks for joining us. It's another episode where we'll look back on the previous day's action. Host nation going through, the Gambians going through as well. We'll get all the analysis, all the previews, all the reviews and everything in between now and the next hour. So please let us hear from you on the WhatsApp number on your screen, 0550 585832, 0550 585832. That's the WhatsApp number, hashtag AFCON on Citi, and get to us on Twitter at Citi Sports GHA. My name is Nathan Kwao once again. We'll take a very quick break. When we come back, I'll introduce my guests and we get off the ground. This is the AFCON Daily Show on Citi TV. All right, welcome back. This is the AFCON Daily Show on Citi TV. Let me introduce the guys. They are ready and they are raring to go. Susu Graham is here. Hello, Susu. You good? Yep. All right, Daniel Cranton is here.
Hi, Nathan.
Lovely time.
Thank you.
Oh, man, I love these guys, I'm telling you. Later on, Fenton Tahir will be joining us with some more insight into what's happening in the AFCON. Let's have a look at the results from another day of round of 16 action. It's Guinea 0, Gambia 1. Guinea 0, Gambia 1. The Scorpions of Gambia stinging the silly national of Guinea by a goal to nil. Barrow's goal, settling that tie. Brilliant performance from the Gambians into their first ever AFCON quarter-final at the very first time of asking. Well-win stuff, dream stuff really, dream stuff for the Gambians. And then it was Cameroon 2, Comoros 1, in a game that I thought would be having 10, 15, 20 goals. It didn't happen. The Cameroonians winning by 2-1. And that's where we begin. It was a capacity crowd, played at night under the lights and all of that. And very early, after about 3 or 4 minutes, there were some decisions, or there was a big decision to be taken. And the Ethiopian referee decided to hand out the red card to a player from the Comoros team. That set the stage for the rest of the game. And in the end, it was Cameroon 2, Comoros 1. Daniel, your thoughts on this? I will say, wow. Wow, the Comoros team, brave collection of players. They fought till the very end. They lost, but I'm sure they made an impression on you as well.
Oh, I was very impressed. I thought it was going to be 4-5-0 before the game. Because of the circumstances surrounding this particular game. We knew what was going to happen. We knew an outfield player was going to end up starting in post. And that's what happened. But look, Comoros were brave. They fought. This is it's such a beautiful footballing story. Where, yes, they lost the game, but it's the fight that they gave that stole everybody's heart. Look at this double save from a left back in a professional football game, AFCON round of 16 clash. It just shows you the determination that they had inside them. They knew, and I'm sure they themselves knew they were going to lose the game, but they were not going to make it easy for Cameroon. And the Cameroonians themselves were very disappointed in their display. Some of the way they passed off their chances and their shots. In fact, the previous highlight, you saw the double save. There was no conviction in Vincent Abubakar's shot. It was almost like he knew that the guy in post wasn't a goalkeeper and he almost expected it to be very easy for him. So, look, that's that. Cameroon, at this stage, qualifying is the most important thing. Of course, Cameroon have wished that they made it a more emphatic win. But Comoros will be delighted in the way they played. 7 minutes being reduced to a man down and then going on to lose the game by just 2-1. In fact, the goal they scored will probably go down as one of the goals of the competition. This is it. A cracker, absolute cracker. And you see, you have to also consider the guy in post. It's Andre Onana, who was having a fantastic day himself. So to beat him from this range just shows you the quality of the technique and the quality of the shot. It was brilliant. And brilliant all-round display from Comoros on the day.
Lovely stuff. So your thoughts on this? I mean, as the game wore on, I just grew in admiration for the Comoros team and how well they played on the day. I don't know what you made. I'm sure we'll later get into the numbers, but that's the initial thoughts on everything that happened yesterday.
I think for a team that was a man down playing against the home nation, it was an impressive performance. They couldn't create as much. They had a keeper and goal. not a lot of options on the bench because of COVID. So this is almost like you are playing like they are hamstrung basically, and they did so well for a small nation. I think it goes down to the coaching, and we'll just say this: most of these guys are playing Division 2, Division 3 in France. If you are playing Division 2 in France, Ghana are unlikely to call you. They'll press be like, what kind of players is? You have players in Syria, French League, whatever. Why aren't they playing? And Comoros has taken these teams, these players, they are playing at a lower level, and look at the way they are coached. They are playing excellent football. They are moving the ball quickly. They are getting to attacking position, and even with 10 men, you were able to trouble Cameroon. Like that goal, like Daniel says, is a great goal. It's not a spreadsheet goal. I wouldn't recommend a shot in that situation, but it just goes to show where there's talent, there's coaching, there's a plan. It'll work well. If you notice, the guy kind of ran, and it made the guy who was trying to be a wall kind of move away. So there's other things they've worked on. It's not just even the passing patterns, even the set pieces. There's a clear pattern on what they want to do, what they want to create, and it's excellent to watch. And I'll be very excited to see what they do in the next AFCON, which is what next year in June, July, and then what they do in the next AFCON qualifiers. I think now that when we say there's no menus in African football, we really mean it, because the teams who are not as big on talent, they go and get a top coach. And I think some of the teams who are bigger on talent, they are not as cerebral in their choice of coaching. They are not thinking so much about the style, how they want to play. They just get any coach. We can even say Ghana. We went, as an example, Ghana, we didn't use our talent properly. It didn't seem like there was much of a plan throughout the 3 games compared to Comoros, who knew, and even Gambia, who we'll get onto later. They want to sit deep, win the ball back deep, launch counter-attacks from deep, and use the space in behind to get something. Sierra Leone, the same thing. So you can see the small nations, they are focusing on their game plan. They're not thinking, look, we have all this talent. They are looking and saying, how can we take advantage of the small talent we have against these teams who have superstars? Because even Egypt, they've not looked as exciting, but they have Mohamed Salah. Then compare them to Comoros, who are saying that Comoros is one of the teams of the tournament. So it just goes to show, when you take advantage of your coaching, your technical ability and your plan, you have a great tournament. And they've bowed out very respectably. And I think a lot more people know there's a country called Comoros and what they can do.
Well, that is true. I've read several people who said, look, I didn't even know Comoros existed. But here they are giving Cameroon headaches. Daniel, you mentioned something about the Cameroonians. They are finishing. What do you think it will be down to? Is it complacency? What was it? Because I thought that for a host nation, you'd have the crowd behind you. You'd have momentum. You are playing this team that has a left back in goal. Do you think that there was a part of the Cameroonians that caused them to probably be a little wary of the Comoros and say that, look, we cannot go to sleep. These guys can shock us, and then we become the story of the competition?
I don't think they were afraid to lose. I honestly feel, especially the attacking department, that's why I mentioned the finishing. They just felt a bit too slack for me on the day. If you can roll the highlights again, I'll point out something to you. That Vincent Abubakar chance, I don't know who got the follow-up, but the double save that the Comoros goalkeeper, and even Toko Ekambi's goal. Yeah. You can look, if you look at the amount of power he put behind the ball, it looked like he was just going for placement. They were playing with that awareness that it wasn't a goalkeeper in post, and you could tell by the quality of shots they were hitting. Even if you consider Vincent Abubakar's goal, I promise you, if it was a goalkeeper, he wouldn't have attempted that. He was just waiting for the goalkeeper to move, and once he moved, he just slipped the ball into the back of the net. So they were playing with that awareness, and it showed on the day. And I think they'll be disappointed with the aftermath of the game. At 2-0, maybe you can say okay, but for a game against a hamstrung Comoros team to end 2-1 after 90 minutes, it's not the best for Cameroon. And also, you see, one thing a lot of people are overlooking, it's not like the Comoros team on the day were playing in their right positions. They had a lot of injuries and, of course, COVID tests. So somebody who's a left winger had to make shift at central midfield. They were just footballers on the day, but they had to, in as much, yes, a left back was playing goalkeeper, but it's not everybody else. It doesn't mean everybody else was playing in their right position. So they really fought the good fight, and it's just unfortunate for them that they got kicked out of the competition. It was going to happen, but it's a performance that we'll remember, and it's, as Susu said, they've really put their country's name on the map now. Okay, all right, brave stuff from the Comorians.
So let's get into the numbers. I'm sure when the game ended, I was trying to think up how the XG would look like after the encounter. How did the XG play out?
Well, before I come to the screen, I want you to guess the difference in XG.
The difference in XG?
I want you to guess it.
1.
Okay, I think Daniel is closer, so it's about 2.4.
Okay.
So 2.4. So it was, like we said, we expected the Cameroonians to dominate. But I think, like I said, I think the Comorans did a lot with the ball when they had it. Because if you look at the possession, 65.7 to 34.3. And their shots are 19 to 13. Shots on target, 6 to 7. So the Comorans even got more shots on target. So I think it's a very admirable performance. They did very well. And like I said, look at their penalty area entries, 32 to 12. So they are not getting to the box as much, but they are trying their best from range, trying to do stuff with the ball. And that's why I said it was very impressive from them. But what hurt them was the shot accuracy was a bit lower.
Okay.
That was a bit of a problem.
Okay.
But then the problem is that they were hemmed in. So if you look at the recoveries in the attacking half, Cameroon's ball recoveries, 14% happened in the Comoros half compared to 2% for Comoros.
Okay.
So it's like they weren't able to get out as much, and that's what Daniel talked about, not having the right personnel. Maybe even having the defender held, and they had a bit of a sweeper keeper so they could, But it's just, you can't get out when you don't have your personnel. You're a bit tired, and you're a man down. So Cameroon really pushed them up, high up the pitch, had them hemmed in, and then they just couldn't get out. But I still think it's an admirable performance, and I would love to see them in the next AFCON.
Okay, we'll see. Yes.
Touch on the 12 penalty area entries. It's into the 18-yard box, right?
Yes.
Yes, and you think about the fact that they were playing a man down, players out of positions, but they were still able to advance the ball into the Cameroonian penalty
that was
area
quite
12
striking.
times. Yeah,
that
12
was
times
for
in
a
the
team,
game.
like you're saying, for a team that was a man down, they were never afraid to take the ball and play it round and get themselves into those very important scoring positions. Who knows what would have happened if they had 11 men?
Yeah, who knows? And you see, for me, this is a difference between a team like Comoros and a team like Ethiopia. In as much as Comoros were positive-minded, they also kept their eye on the back and made sure that they didn't create too many openings for Cameroon. Yes, their goalkeeper they also had him to thank for the scoreline remaining at just 2 goals for Cameroon. But I like that balance. In as much as you want to play exciting football, you always need to keep the balance between defense and attack. And for them, for a smaller nation like this, making an impression in a competition like this, they'll certainly hold their heads up high. But statistically, they've won just 1 game out of 4. But that shows you how interesting the AFCON is. They've lost 3 out of 4, but they still reached the round of 16, and that is brilliant.
Of course, when you expand the competition, these are the permutations that could possibly send you through. Yeah. Portugal won the Euros by getting 3 points, 3 draws.
Literally won 1 game the entire competition.
1 game in regulation time. Mm-hmm. So that's the story. So if you get your mix right and you get your plan right in the round of 16, you never know. Even in the group stage, you could have a lovely draw, and there you are in the final, challenging for the biggest trophies. But not for Comoros this time. They are out of the competition. And the Comoros FA, they put out a tweet thanking the fans, thanking the players, just admiring everything they've put together so far. And we wait to see what next will happen to this team. Maybe they'll be back in the next AFCON. Maybe they'll do better in the next AFCON. You never know. But one team who gets to stay in Cameroon a little longer is the Gambia. Imagine your first AFCON in your history, and you go and KO the Guinean national team. Granted, the Guineans may not be AFCON royalty. They may not have won anything, but they are usually here, and they usually cause problems. And this time, the Gambians handed them their tickets back to Conakry, and possibly back to face an inquisition. If you follow the story, the military leader said if they did not win the tournament, they were going to refund all the pre-tournament investments the government had made into their team. Then, I guess it's another story of a team that played with heart, determination, and a very good game plan.
I called it yesterday. I told you Gambia were going to win. And this is what I admire about them. The game plan, approaching every game differently. In as much as there's a running theme in terms of their philosophy, you can tell that the head coach trusts the technical ability of the front men. They take a lot of shots from distance, and more often than not, those shots are very threatening. I think they've hit the post more than anybody in this competition. Wow. If Susu could check that for us in our next episode, but I'm very sure they've hit the post. They've hit, at least I witnessed 2 against Mali, 1 against Tunisia, and all came from free kicks. It just shows you how good.
Yeah, and in this game they hit the
technique.
post a couple of
in
times.
In the opening game against, was it Mauritania? It was a goal from outside the box. So they have that technique when it comes to shooting from the box. Then when they do that, that sort of threat allows, or it causes your opposition to try and close you down. And when they close you down, it can also create spaces for you. So it's something that they've worked on. You can see it's working, and you don't change a working game plan. So I'm so proud of this team because of the way they approach games. And you see, you cannot bet against them going into their next game and winning, because you can clearly tell that they do their homework very well. They approach their games with a very deliberate game plan. And from what we've seen in the competition so far, they've managed to get the victories up until this point. I think they've conceded just one goal so far. It came from the Mali game. They kept a clean sheet against Tunisia, against Guinea, and against Mauritania. So it shows that the defense is tough, and they know how to get the goal. If you have a strong defense, you don't need more than one goal to win a football game, and they are doing exactly that. I'm so proud of this team, and I'm sure the Gambians are very delighted with the sort of display that their team has put up so far.
So let's get into the numbers. Again, I'd love to see how the XG looks like. And what is it that the Gambians probably did better than the Guineans on the day?
So Daniel talked about a game plan yesterday. So I tried to find the numbers that highlighted this game plan. So the XG is pretty close. So it shows they weren't really dominated by the Guineans. And if you look at the shot map, the difference between the two teams is that Gambia took their good chance in the box and Guinea didn't. That's really all there was to this game. But then again, that's part of football. Your finishing matters. But let me get into the game plan part. So I want to look at the last 3 stats here. Through balls, long pass proportion, and recoveries in attacking half. So they start very deep, so no recoveries in the attacking half. Long ball passes, they got the ball, they were direct, they were fast, they were trying to get it through. And the through balls, you can only get a through ball if there's space behind the defense. So the Guineans had 0 through balls because they couldn't find space behind the Gambians. But the Gambians had 3 because they found the space behind. They sat back and they used that space. And also, by using that space, they go into good positions and they shot better. So you look at their shots on target. Yeah, Guinea took 19 shots and had only 2 on target. Very simply, poor finishing. Gambia took 12 and had 3 on target. I wouldn't say the Gambians were that good at their finishing. I think both teams were poor when you look at it. But the fact that they were better on balance and used the ball better when they got it just shows what we are talking about, the game plan. So it looked like a lot of Guinea's possessions and the shots they ended up with, they just didn't do well enough. But the Gambians took their chances and they are on to the quarterfinals. And it's mightily impressive because first AFCON, and you've managed not only to get out of the group, now you've gone to the quarterfinals. It's very big. So congratulations to them.
Okay, all right. Daniel, before I read the messages.
Yesterday when we were analyzing the game or we were discussing it, I spoke about Guinea's inability to score. And then that was a strong point I made, that Guinea are finding it difficult to score. Gambia have a very tight defense. So if Guinea want to get something out of this game, they'll have to miraculously find their scoring boots. And clearly yesterday, they just don't have it in them. They played a nice football, but that has been their downfall in almost all the last AFCON. That was the case. They played brilliant. They were Nigeria's group, played brilliant football, but they just couldn't find the goals. And that's always going to be a problem.
But what could be the problem? Is it the lack of a proper finisher? Or it's just players who get into tournaments and just can't find form enough to score?
I think when you look at their team, they sort of spread the goal scoring responsibility because they don't necessarily have that one potent number 9 who's going to be there for them. But the problem is also, when I watch the sort of chances that they've missed, you can tell they are rushing the opportunities. There was a very good opportunity. It came from pressing the Gambians earlier in the first half. They won the ball back. They gave it to their forward. He had 2 opportunities to finish it. The first one I feel was a bit more difficult. Goalkeeper saved it. And when the follow-up came to him, I thought he should have used his left foot because there was space. He took an extra touch on his right foot and they allowed the goalkeeper to close down the space. So all these things you can tell he's not a pure finisher. He's not a pure striker to be able to identify the fact that a split second can completely change your chances of finishing the ball in the back of the net. A poor touch can completely take the chance away from you. So for them, I just think it's 2 things: rushing chances and also not having players or forward men who have the pure instinct of a striker or a finisher.
Okay, all right. Let me go to some of the messages that have come in. Sylvester in Agovi says, I think there's something fishy going on in the tournament. Anytime a team is going to play Cameroon, a number of their players contract COVID.
I think Burkina Faso complained about something like this.
Yeah, this was before the opening game.
Yeah, they said that they feel like they are targeting major players. This was their claim.
Well, we'll see. Hansen from Adenta says, is this the Comoros team that beat Ghana? What an outstanding match from them. They'll go home with their heads up. Cameroon won the game, but Comoros won our hearts. Samuel Yakubu in Zaria, Nigeria. Thank you for watching. This one says, an interesting fact is that the left back who was the makeshift goalkeeper for Comoros made 4 saves in 1 match, which is the same as Jojo Wallacott's total in 3 matches at the AFCON.
How many shots did Jojo Wallacott face?
We find out. This one says, can you believe that most Ghanaians were rooting for Comoros? Amazing team. Levi saying that. Emmanuel from Accra says, you guys have an interesting show. And it's actually the best sports show on TV. Oh, thank you. And it says, I'm very disappointed in Cameroon. This one says, I heard they had to change the rules to prevent the Comoros goalkeeper who had just tested negative. So there's also that on the side as well. COVID rules and all.
If you can see the rules on the screen, just to be sure of what exactly the protocols are when it comes to COVID-related testing. So if you can see it on the screen right now so that we can just get what exactly the picture is.
Okay. So it says, if the result of the COVID PCR test of any player is positive, such a player will not be authorized to go to the stadium or participate in the applicable match. Now, a team will be required to play a match if they have a minimum of 11 players available who have tested negative. In the event of the absence of a goalkeeper, another player from the team must replace the goalkeeper, provided the total number of available players is at least 11. Now, a team that does not have a minimum of 11 players available will be considered to have lost the match 2-0. In exceptional cases, the organizing committee of the AFCON will take the appropriate decision. Now, a player who tests positive for COVID must isolate for 5 days before taking another PCR test, 48 hours before his side's next match.
So the last point there is what prevented the Comoros goalkeeper from playing.
Okay.
Because, he had to take a test 48 hours before the game, and he only recovered, I think, 2 or 3 days before that game was played. So it was just unfortunate for them. But look, the rules we saw the rules before the competition. Yes. We knew that even if you had 12 or 11 players on the field, it didn't matter if you didn't have a goalkeeper. The rules clearly states that an outfield player will be required to play. I feel if teams wanted to protest, they should have done it then when the rules were released before the competition. Because we all know anything could happen. It could have happened to anybody. So I don't think this sort of reactionary, this reaction is necessary at all. Because we saw it before. They could easily have protested. And I'm sure if we had a unanimous protest from most of the teams, CAF would have made attempts to at least change the rules before the start of the competition. But it's just unfortunate Comoros had to go through.
Okay. Susu, want to say something?
It seems like there's this rumor going around that the rules, that 5-day rule was changed before the Comoros match. You look on the CAF website, that's the only information that's been given. There's no information stating that it was previously 2 days that has now become 5 days. You look everywhere, you can't find it, but you're hearing people say it. So I don't know where this rumor started from. I would like if someone could send one of us like the source of where they are seeing this difference. We could maybe be able to talk about it better. But per our research on the CAF website and other official sources, there's nothing of the sort. So I think sometimes these fake news things, they spread very fast, especially in this age of social media. So it's very difficult to know what's real and what's fake. So I think that's kind of what happened there. Small conspiracy theory. You know how these things are.
Oh, yeah, of course. Let me read this message. This one says, Comoros deserves an award from CAF based on their disaster from COVID, 10 against 11. They still played well. Ghanaians should stop blaming coaches, players, and the GFA. Ghanaians should rather build a national level stadium that would, it says, capacitate well-accessed players. I'm struggling to get what this message is trying to say. Dachi Hini, please send your message again. And this time, send it so we can understand. Thank you very, very much. You're still watching the AFCON Daily Show on Citi TV. The guys are here, Susu Graham and Daniel Clancy. Francis Tahiru will join us a little later, but we'll take a quick break. We'll take a break now, When we come back, we've got more. We will look ahead to the other games. Plus, we ask a question. Why is it that there are so many red cards in the AFCON round of 16? We'll try and delve into the incidents, try and look at what exactly is happening on that front. This is the AFCON Daily Show on Citi TV. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back. This is the AFCON Daily Show on Citi TV. We've got more for you. Just send us a message, 0550-585832, 0550-585832, hashtag Citi Sports, hashtag AFCON on Citi. Let's move on to the next part of our show. We want to focus on the refereeing decisions, especially the red card ones. We find out what exactly is happening in a round of 16. Are players indisciplined? Are the games going out of hand? Are the referees a bit too harsh? Or the rules are just being applied a bit too strictly? Fenty Tahiru has joined us. Hi, Fent. How are you?
Good.
All right. So let me take your thoughts. Do you happen to have an answer for us? Why are so many red cards being flashed in the round of 16?
I think it's basically because the red cards have been deserved, maybe. But also with VAR, I think around the globe, the red card numbers have really increased with the coming of VAR, obviously, because so many incidents, once they are looked back in slow motion, I think it's always going to be a red card. When referees see it slow down. We talk about how slow motion intensifies the action. It makes everything look a bit more magnified. But so I think generally that's probably the reason so many players are getting red card, because I think more than half of those red card decisions were not taken instantly. They were taken after VAR review. So without VAR, you guarantee that those numbers would have reduced at least by half. So I think it's really just basic. The only reason there's so many red cards is definitely because of VAR. And I think that is understandable, obviously. I think in the past, people have spoken about how there's a lot of physicality in African football, and that in itself was an identity, to be honest. Yesterday, Michael Essien posted a video of him being taken out by a Moroccan player, and he said that is the AFCON becoming soft. I'm not sure that the competition is becoming soft. I think it's more of VAR just slowing down the action and making everything look worse. And in those instances, you know that the referees are definitely going to give red cards. In this particular incident, it wasn't even going to get a yellow card if it wasn't for VAR. The action was reviewed, and in the end, it was adjudged to be malicious play, aggressive play, and then the red card was issued. But I think, generally, I don't think it's been that bad, to be honest. Yesterday's decision itself, especially in the Ethiopia game, that was questionable.
You mean the Comoros game?
The Comoros and Cameroon game, that was questionable. But I think the rest of the decision, now you want to a bit harsh, but I think generally it's just been VAR. Well, this is, I think, a side effect of VAR. You bring in VAR, every action is brought under the microscope, and you guarantee that a lot of the physicality will be adjudged to be dangerous.
Okay. Daniel?
The Comoros red card was a clear red card. I'm not one of those who goes to the school of thought it wasn't intentional.
Okay.
If it wasn't intentional and the Cameroonian player's leg got broken, does it still mean it's not a foul? No, that's a leg breaker. He stood on his leg with his stats, and per the rules, that is a red card. So that is a plus side of VAR, the fact that the referee got to review the decision. And that referee is one of the most experienced on the continent. So I feel he got the decision right. What didn't make sense to me, both red cards in the Gambia and Guinea game, really didn't make sense, especially the Gambian red card. He literally got sent off for shielding the ball. That was the reason why. And that's the same referee who was in charge of Ghana-Gabon, where the Gabonese were beating the Ghanaians and he was only dishing out yellow cards. If he wanted to dish out red cards, I think that those two red cards that he was yearning to give should have come in that game, not this one. Even Guinea's red card was a bit too harsh. Both players jumped like any normal human being would do. You jump, you go with your arms. He didn't lean in with his elbow. He jumped with his elbow. Mm-hmm. It landed on the neck or the side of the face of the the Gambian defender, and that is where VAR should come into play. You look at it and you see that there was nothing malicious in that, and then you wave it off. But to insist on giving the red card because he's been given 2 colored cards and he has to give both of them in one match, it's not fair to the 2 teams, and it's not fair to the competition because now it's 5 red cards in the 4 round 16 games we've played. If there's a punter, you bet for there to be another one in the Senegal Cape Verde game and the Malawi Morocco one, and I'm sure you have your good money in your pockets. But it's not. Some of the decisions are clear. If you go back to the group stages, I still believe the Mali red card against Tunisia, I'm saying per the rules. There was a start showing. It graced. You are not the one going to tell the Tunisian player how to react when he feels starts on his shin. It was a high foot on his shin starts. It's a red card. But for somebody like Andrea, use a red card made no sense at all. He clearly played the ball, and like I always say, it's a normal human reaction. You can't kick a ball and just retreat your leg. The follow through by all means happen. We see this thing happen time and time again in almost every single football game that we watch. But unfortunately, he was sent off for that one. If we can just have some consistency, that is when I will be happy. But when glaring red cards are given and you give a thumbs up, and then some frivolous ones are also given, it doesn't make it fair for anybody.
Okay, Susu, your thoughts?
I agree with Daniel to a certain extent. I think sometimes it's how you come in and the things that happen. I think even with the Andrea red card, it was harsh, but it became a matter of the way the studs came in, and it's like now he's coming with his studs. Same thing with the was it Mali Tunisia you mentioned. Like, it's not that the tackle was malicious, it's not that it was so dangerous, but once your studs are above the ankle, there are certain protocols that are followed. It becomes automatically dangerous, regardless of the fact whether it's actually dangerous or not. But I wanted to even point out a very interesting trend that Daniel noticed. He drew my attention to this. So he was talking about the group stage in the round of 16, how the red cards have been distributed. So it's like the group stage, how many games that? 36 games, we have 6 red cards. Round of 16, we've had 4 games so far, we have 5 red cards. So I don't know whether maybe the officiating has gone more stricter or the players are playing harder. But like you said, there's not that many, as the contentious red cards are equally spaced out. I just have to mention that one of the Ghana red cards was after the game. So it would be 5 in-game, 5 in-game, and then 1, after the final whistle. But like I said, maybe they're playing harder, maybe they're against it. I don't know what it is, but it's a strange trend that every game so far has had a red card in the round of 16.
Do you think that it will affect the quality of matches we see going forward? Do you think players will think twice about some of these things? Because like we've seen, some of them are accidental to a large extent, coincidental even to a point, and you are getting sense of. Do you think that it will affect players and how they approach the games?
No, I don't think so. I think, the way footballers behave, athletes, the moment they get onto the pitch and that competitive spirit kicks in, I think everything really goes out the window. They're playing their game the way they play. Look, even in the advent of VAR, players still use their hands to control the football. Players still score with their hands and celebrate wildly because they automatically forget that there's a certain element that could review their action. So it's just what it is. I think it's by instinct. They will be as competitive as ever. The red card happens, it happens. Because, imagine that you go playing it soft and thinking that, being afraid to get a red card and then you go and lose it. Whereas, I think that takes a bit of competitiveness out of the game. And I don't think that is fair to anybody. And I don't think that it is sensible for any player to go into the game already thinking about getting a red card. If you're on a yellow card, I can understand that because then you know that you've been cautioned already. But right from the start, you have to be competitive. And but I think that players know what a red card tackle is. So those ones you have to stay away, obviously, because you can't be stupid and throwing your legs, lunging into tackles here and there without taking into consideration what harm you could do to an opponent. But I think perhaps one reason we can allocate to the increased red cards in the round of 16 is the fact that this is a stay or go home affair.
So you think that the officiating is a bit more aware, a bit more alert?
I don't really think it has anything to do with officiating, to be honest. I just think it's more about the game, more about the teams being a bit more aggressive, being a bit more competitive. And I always like to think that nobody wants to go home. And so when you get into that stage of the competition, whatever it will take to win, you will win. Because you take the Alex Iwobi red card, for example. Maybe under some other circumstances, that's not how he would try to win the ball. But he comes on, he's boiling, adrenaline is very high, he's trying to maintain possession, keep possession, win it back for Nigeria. They are chasing the game. These things are, I think it's very normal. Sometimes you really just can't help it. You're playing your game. I don't think that he expected to be sent off, or he even thought that he was playing very aggressive. He was just trying to win the ball.
He needs to work on his first touch. If he had touched the ball, he wouldn't have to do that.
Okay, so
that's what I'm saying. So he loses the ball. He's trying to win it back. I mean,
do we expect more red cards?
I think so. If I can
course.
jump and I can touch the face of him, or they said I'm sent off, why doesn't it look like it will continue? I think it will continue. I think the trend will continue. I've said that, yes, some of the red cards are clear, like the Iwobi one, like the Comoros one. Those sort of tackles, whether intentional or not, they can cause harm to the opposition, and yes, they need to be punished. But the Gambia-Guinea game, no. Even the Gabon and Burkina Faso, I think it was a second yellow card offence that he got. I thought it was a bit too harsh. If you watch how the game was going, if I was a referee, I'll not give him a second yellow, or a first yellow. In fact, I'm considering the first one. The second one, of course, he was almost like the last man, or last but one man. That was a yellow card offence. But some of these things, I think the referee should understand the stage of the competition. I think that's when you should even become more lenient in the round of 16, because you understand the emotions of the game. And I think that's what makes some of the best referees the best referees. You look at Colina, you look at even Howard Webb in that 2010 World Cup final. Yeah. He will tell he understood the emotions of the game. Yes, it was a very dangerous tackle, but it's a World Cup final after 26 minutes. If you send off the player, the game is destroyed. Colina himself will tell you, you understand what players go through. So even sometimes when they talk back at you, those decent, you don't necessarily send them off because he's been disrespectful. You understand what he's going through. You give them a warning for some situations like this. But if you decide to be Michael Olivers and Mike Deans at the AFCON, when you hear somebody call your name and the person doesn't say it politely, you flash out a yellow card. If I jump and I mistakenly hit the side of somebody's face and I have VAR to review it, I say I won't check and I'll send you off because no, it's not fair. Honestly, the decision that has annoyed me most is a Gambia red card. Like, he loses the ball, he turns around and he shields the ball from the player, and he turns around, he hears a whistle and they are giving me a red card for that.
If I'm not mistaken, I think around 2007, Michael Essien was sent off or something like that. Yeah. Before he just trying to win ball, trying to protect the ball. He swings his arm to try to shield the ball, and
I remember the Essien incident. Even the Essien incident, there was a swing. This one, he literally put. If you can see it again, he put his arm up like what everybody does, just to shield. And then even the Guinean player didn't take it. It's part of football. Then the ref blows away. I even thought that was the end of the game. And then he flashes out the red card because they've given him a card and he's good. No, you don't do things like that.
All right, the guys aren't too happy that I'm canceling, especially. I think this is the episode he was talking about there.
This is the Guinea red card. This is a Guinea red card.
I think there's a Gambia.
I think you missed that.
There's a Gambia red card.
You're talking about the Guinea red card with the shielding back.
Yeah. That was at the end of the game. Yeah. This is what I'm talking about. Look, so he loses. He
that
turns
was the
around.
First yellow. The first one.
How is that a red card? Honestly, how is that a red card? He turns around and he puts.
It was
his
a second yellow though.
It's still not a yellow.
So it's still not a yellow.
That's not a yellow card offense, especially when you know the player is on a yellow and you know that this is going to send him off. Why do you know? I'll suck you.
I think I've seen players giving yellow for less. To be honest,
as a yellow card,
for a yellow card, I have seen players get yellow card for things that I don't even understand.
Yeah, but see, a second yellow is different from a yellow card.
A yellow is a yellow.
No. When the player is already in a yellow card and he does that,
yes,
that's what you see. Referees are not just existing.
Was it 3 weeks ago that a player got sent off in the Premier League for two quick yellow cards? I think It was recent.
It was Jimenez.
It was
Jimenez.
No, but
Man
Jimenez
City
was
was
being
being
silly.
So the second,
Jimenez was being silly.
No, you see,
Jimenez
that's the
was
thing.
being silly.
But you see, if I
Friends, I don't think those are comparable
because of the
because-
yellow card, just give
No,
you
I'm
a
saying-
No,
Those are
I'm saying
comparable.
that was silly. He
Those are
deserved that.
comparable
This is
decisions
this is.
at
It's not
there
the
are,
foul.
I mean, there are certain conditions. There are certain fouls that will quickly generate a yellow card. It doesn't
No, the second one
matter.
wasn't even a foul. That's what Daniel was saying.
Yes,
I was
that's
using
what
his
I
own
said. It was the
argument
one
about
foul.
understanding the
He
emotions
stood in
of the
front
game
the ball
and being
prevented it
sensible.
from being taken.
Yes.
That's
But
different.
that's
That's
a
different
different
from trying
yellow.
to shield the ball. You make no contact
No, I
at all,
think
and the
friends,
referee
that's
there
a bad
just-
example because he committed a tackle, got a yellow. He was upset about it. Then instead of letting them play the free kick, he stood in front of it, which in itself is another thing. So he just did 2 quick yellow card offenses in succession. It's not the same as he committed a yellow card foul and committed another foul later, and they said, "Okay, you've committed 2
Was it
fouls. Come off."
was it a foul?
That one I don't
The
remember.
Gambia
I don't
incident.
remember
But
the
friends,
first
not every
foul.
foul is a cardable offense. Even if this were
I
a
get
foul.
that, but I'm saying that so long as it's a foul, we have seen fouls giving yellow cards. And then in the very next game, or even the same game, a similar foul is in yellow card.
you see,
So I'm saying that
Did
for
did
yellow
that
card
look,
offense,
ask a
it's more
question,
like
friends, can I
It
ask you a
doesn't mean it's
question?
right.
Did that look reckless or careless to you?
I don't know.
Well, if you can't answer that, it just shows.
No,
it's
I
not
can't
a yellow
answer
card.
exactly. So it's up to the referee. He's decided it's a
Okay.
second yellow card. That's not my problem.
That's not your problem. All right.
That's his problem.
We've got a couple of messages here. Let me read them quickly. This one says, you clearly see that teams like Comoros and Gambia are getting things right because they are tactically disciplined and it's showing in their games. Sammy from Seshri Bekwai. And then, guys, I've got 2 messages here from people who seem to love what we do. Let me read this one. Cyrus from Woolensey in the Nanumba South District says, it's always a pleasure watching and listening to you display wisdom. Big ups to the guys behind the scenes who are giving us great output. As for Nathan Daniel, the statsman, he's called Susu, Fent and coach. This is indeed a solid team of sports journalists. Maximum respect to you guys. Kweku Caesar says, whenever I watch you guys giving analysis on football games, I feel so delighted. Delivery, stats, comparisons, suggestions, and healthy arguments are just top notch from you guys. Your expression of expertise in this field of sports is amazing. And looking at how young your team is, I'm hopeful you guys will make it into the higher realms of football punditry. I wonder what the higher realms are. Man. And this one says, and the man whose name I love to mention is here, Fento Tahiru Fento. That's from Kweku Caesar. The guy seems to like your name, man.
Today I saw something on Twitter. Somebody asked you that would you consider taking your wife's last name if you marry her? Mm-hmm. And I said, if my wife's last name is Dangote, what am I doing with Tahiru? There are enough Tahirus in the world. The Dangotes are not enough.
There are not a lot of Dangotes.
No, not at all.
That's a very good example.
It is.
And why not?
Exactly.
If she can take my name,
because you see, imagine if there were more Dangotes. That's more rich
Just before
people.
we go for a break, I'd always wondered, why is it that when women get married, they go from Miss to Mrs.? What happens to the men?
You become Mr. You move from just Nathan to Mr.
We are called Mr. all our lives.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
Technically, you are not. You see, that's the thing.
Are
That's
you
where
sure?
we get it wrong. Technically,
You are not.
Until you're married, you're not a Mister.
Are you sure?
Technically, yes.
Anyway,
So what is it if it's not Mr.? The way they have Miss. What's the
hey,
one for?
it's hey.
No, you're just gentleman.
It's hey.
Hey. We'll take a short break. We'll be right back. This is the AFCON Daily Show on Citi TV. Welcome back. This is the AFCON Daily Show on Citi TV. Let's move on to other things. We've got some games today. Let's have a look at the fixture list for today, January 25. And there are a round of 16 games to be played. We've got Senegal versus Cape Verde and Morocco versus Malawi. Senegal versus Cape Verde, that's the first game at 4. And then you've got Morocco versus Malawi. That's the other game at 7 p.m. All of these games are for the right to get into the last 8 of the AFCON. We still have got the big boy clash. I think Cote d'Ivoire will be playing tomorrow, Cote d'Ivoire and Egypt. So that's for later. So let's get into the head-to-heads.
I like the Senegal Cape Verde head-to-head. It looks very clear-cut when you look at it. So 14 wins for Senegal, 2 for Cape Verde, and 2 draws. but they've only played twice in AFCON qualifiers. Interestingly, most of their matches have come again in the American Cabral Cup, which keeps coming up. So I had to do some research, and it looks like it's the other side of the WAFU, the Sierra Leone, Senegal side, Cape Verde. They have a they have a tournament they used to play. They used to play very regularly from about 79 to 2007, and Senegal have won it 8 times. So they are the dominant team in that zone. So they've played a lot of games in our competition. So that's why the head-to-head is so large. So we learn more every day. I think I pronounced his name wrong.
Cabral.
I also don't speak Portuguese, so I think I'm allowed.
Cabral, the thing is a freedom fighter, I think he was.
Yeah, yes, I think so. I think he was the first president of Cape Verde or something like that. I have to brush up on my history. I think my dad won't be happy I don't know that. But
he won't be. He will be very happy knowing your dad's interest.
But let me talk a bit about Senegal. So there's this interesting stat about how long teams have been winning, how long they've been drawing, and how long they've been losing. So Senegal are one of the few teams, this was for the group stage, with Cote d'Ivoire, Nigeria, and Mali, who are never behind in the group stage.
Okay.
But Senegal are also interesting because they only are ahead for 1 minute in the group stage. Because remember, they scored that goal in the last minute of their first group game, and then drew the other game. So one goal, they led for about 1 minute, and then the rest of the time, they were level. So it's like they are struggling to score, but they're also not conceding. So it makes them a dangerous prospect. Then compared to Cape Verde, who are a bit lower down. Let me find Cape Verde. Oh, why can't I find them? My eyes are not working there. Where are they?
In the first row, right under Guinea and Malawi.
Okay, thank you. So Cape Verde, 19% of the time, drawing about 55% and losing 26%. So they've had a more up-down group stage. So it looks like Senegal are going to be difficult to beat, but I don't think Cape Verde are pushovers themselves because they've made some things happen. But then again, this means nothing because look at where Nigeria are, nicely at the top, winning 68% of their time. Then they meet Tunisia and it all blows up. Then I just want to talk about the styles we're expected to see. So as you can see, Senegal and Cape Verde are in the same quadrants. They like to play nice possession football, move the ball, keep the ball secure in possession. So we're going to see two teams who want to dominate possession. I think maybe Cape Verde might be a bit wary because they are playing a quote-unquote stronger team. So they might sit back a bit and go a bit more direct. But we're expecting to see two possession teams facing each other. So I think it will be a delight for people who love technical football and maybe a stylistic clash it will be more player quality. Because if they are similar in style, it will be more about execution rather than tactics.
Okay, guys, anybody up for extra time and penalties? That's the vibe I get.
Yeah, because Senegal can't score goals. And that's a serious problem. And when you have the talent they have, and they just can't score goals. The only goal they've scored in this competition has come through a 96th minute penalty, lucky penalty against Zimbabwe. Zimbabweans lost concentration. Honestly, in the first week of the competition, if we would have thought that goal would have been Senegal's only goal up until this point, nobody would have thought that. You look at the squad that they have. But as you said, I honestly don't expect a lot of goals in this game. I just feel that if Cape Verde don't need to be extraordinary in defense, I think if they are decent, they'll be able to ward off this Senegalese attack, which has looked very blunt throughout the competition. I think this will go the distance. If anything, it will be won in extra time. I honestly don't see the two teams getting something out of it in 90 minutes. But if somebody's going to win it in 90 minutes, I think we'll have an upset. I think
just to add to that, I saw a stat about how if you look at the XG for and against of the teams, Senegal and Cape Verde, I think, are both in the bottom 3. So they are like the teams that you see the quote-unquote boring matches without few chances. So I think Daniel's analysis is right and it's been backed by stats.
Fence, do you feel the same way? Extra time and penalties?
No. I think I'm just going to go out there and say that if Senegal cannot step up today against Cape Verde, they have absolutely no business being at this AFCON.
Okay.
They have been terrible in the group stages. They've not played nice football. They've not scored goals. Yes, they're not conceding, but that's not the only matrix on which performances are judged. All right? If you don't score, you don't win. And unlike in the group stages where you can draw and get the penalty and then qualify, you can't draw and go and win the competition.
You can.
Unless you're Portugal. Yes, it's not unless you're Portugal, which is an outlier. It only happened to them.
But what is wrong with this Senegalese team, guys?
I think
Is
it's
this the absence of a proper goal scorer or what?
where proper goal scorer means what?
Means like, look,
An out and out.
an out and out number 9, right? The Gambians have Barrow.
They didn't have any
The
problems in the
Nigerians have
qualifiers.
Yeah, they were scoring goals.
And it was exactly the
They've
same.
always
first
had this problem.
so I don't get
But
it. It's
this
like,
recent,
it
I think
could
from
be nerfs
2017,
in
they've not
tournaments.
had, because I don't think we consider Mbami Nyange an out and out.
he was their only one, really.
He was,
And
and
he's
even
terrible.
he was playing from the right hand side into the middle.
an inside forward kind
so
of
they've
player.
not necessarily
I
had
think
it.
Young can play up front, but he's very poor. I mean, I watched him at Milan for years. I don't want to talk much about him.
Yeah,
He's
and
not
they've got
good.
creativity all around as well in the front three. And I'm not sure what's really going
Okay,
on.
so it's a forward line of great attackers, but not very good scorers.
And you see, the thing is, that it's not just even the attacking trio that are not scoring goals. The overall team performance, there's no chemistry. I don't know what's going on with them. Perhaps for the first time, they're actually feeling the pressure and struggling to impress. Maybe the same pressure that got Algeria kicked out of the competition. Maybe it's the same thing because they came into this competition as one of the favorites, as the highest ranked team in Africa. So I think there is a lot of pressure that they're struggling to manage, and I think it's a Senegalese thing. I don't think it's by accident that they've never won the Cup of Nations, despite all of the very great generations of Senegalese players that they've had. One time they went to the AFCON with 6 strikers and didn't make it out of the group in 2015. It's unbelievable, and I think they've been riding their luck for far too long. Daniel sees an upset. I'm just going to go out and say that this is when Senegal finally wakes up and completely dismisses Cape Verde 2-0, and I'm going to call it
2-0. Let's not forget, Cape Verde beat Nigeria at a point in 2021. So they could cause an
I
upset.
just have to say to fans, who needs to win AFCON when you can win the America Cabral Cup 8 times?
They actually drew. Nigeria lost to Central African Republic.
Okay, so
they drew
sorry.
both games.
They drew both
Yeah.
games. So they do know how to cause.
I think the point you're trying to make is that
They know how
it took
to
the
do
very
it.
last day.
Look, we've seen them play, and it
Yeah.
looks like I don't think the Cape Verdeans are afraid.
No.
Even the
That's
last
the
game
thing
against
about them.
Cameroon,
Exactly.
Their last game
Yes,
against
they-
Cameroon just showed the fight that they have in that team. And that's why I'm saying that if Senegal is going to win, based on what I've seen in the
Then-
stats, I think it will go into extra time penalties. But if anybody is going to win it in 90
It will
minutes,
be-
I think from what I've seen from the Capo Verdeans,
Yeah.
I think they will win it in 90. If somebody is going to win it in 90 minutes, it will be Cape
Okay.
Verde.
Upset alert. We'll wait to see if that will happen. Guys, the other game has to do with Morocco and Malawi.
Malawi is qualifying.
I like straight up. They are qualifying.
And I'm not going to explain why I'm saying that Malawi will qualify. It's a football game.
I'll
It's a
explain it
football
for him,
game.
though.
Okay,
I'll
so
explain it for
try and
him,
explain to us.
So you look at the head-to-head. Malawi have only beaten Morocco once. I think that was in a World Cup qualifier somewhere in the 80s or 90s. But very strong head-to-head for Morocco. 6 wins to 1 win for Malawi and 3 draws. So a nice 60% win ratio. But when you go to the styles, look at Malawi right there. Look at them. That's what Daniel likes. A team that uses the ball efficiently. And that's exactly, I think, why he's backing them. Because you look at Morocco. Morocco are in this nice possession quadrants where you have Mali, Cameroon, Ethiopia, Tunisia, all the, top teams. So look at Malawi all the way out there. You would say, look, they can't string a pass together. They move the ball quickly. And I think that's why Daniel is backing them, because he thinks that they are going to make things happen. They are going to move the ball directly. They'll find space in behind the Moroccan defense and make things happen. I still favor Morocco. I'm of the opinion that sometimes it's better to keep the ball from your opponent. I think possession football works well 99% of the time. But the 1% of the time it works, it's great to watch. And we've seen it work a lot at this tournament. You are seeing Gambia, who are as the closest to Malawi in the quarterfinals. Okay. So there's no reason to think Malawi can join them.
Interesting. So Daniel, you think that the directness and their quality?
Yeah, look, if you can't keep the ball, what business do you have keeping it? Do what your game plan should follow where your strengths lie. And for Malawi, they've done it. And I honestly think it will continue. Especially, I said I want to explain it, but if you look at how high Morocco plays in this competition, I think that's where their defeat lies. In the high line. I think Malawi will exploit.
I think Malawi has no chance.
No chance.
No chance whatsoever. This is at least 3-0 for Morocco.
Since when everybody's prediction gets turned on?
Actually, Morocco are now my pick to win the tournament.
Interesting.
I think from the next round we should start tallying our predictions and do a leaderboard. I think
see who gets
we
it.
can't let people
I
get
just-
away
My
with poor
heart,
predictions.
my heart wants Gambia to win, but I think Cameroon will win.
You think Cameroon?
Yeah.
I think we can't
Gambia
we
now.
can't be getting away with these bad predictions. I think we need to hold each other.
Yesterday I
accountable.
called Gambia.
You did. And
I
to
called
Sue's
Gambia.
stats and everything went tragically all right.
Yeah,
Well, I also said that the game isn't one on the spreadsheet, so
you said that today. After
He
I
said
told
that- he said that
Again.
yesterday.
I did. I said it
To be
yesterday.
fair,
I
he
said
said
it
that
yesterday. I agreed.
He said
I
the
agreed.
game was never won on a spreadsheet.
Though
I don't know. I just have a
favored
funny feeling.
Guinea.
I just have a funny feeling Tunisia might win. They will keep playing this style and they are in the final.
So you called Tunisia, I called Morocco, he calls Cameroon. His heart is for Gambia, but his mind tells
Imagine
him Cameroon.
Malawi winning the AFCON. though.
At this point,
The spreadsheet says Morocco, so.
All right,
at this
okay,
point,
guys.
you
The
are going with
spreadsheet
what the
Okay,
spreadsheet
guys, let's
says.
go.
What does your heart say?
It's Cote d'Ivoire win. All right, guys, we are ending. Thank you very much for watching. This has been another exciting episode of the AFCON Daily Show. We are back tomorrow. Hopefully, everybody's prediction stands, and we'll see if that will happen. But we are back tomorrow. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll catch you then. Enjoy the game. Stay safe and have a good one.